All right. So if everyone's muted, and then we can get started. Okay. Thanks for everyone for joining, and we've got a real great guest tonight. It's a special friend of mine, Larry Barnes. And Larry, I first met him when I did a Canadian tour. I can't actually remember where you picked me up from. I was basically dropped off in areas, and I was picked up by random people. But I spent quite a bit of time with Larry, and we drove a fair stretch of Canada together. And we've been friends ever since. So, Larry, welcome to tonight's call. All the way from, whereabouts are you from again in Canada?
Yeah, I'm from Banff, the Canadian Rocky, just west of Calgary, where they have that big rodeo every year.
Oh, yeah, I went to the rodeo 2 years ago. Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. So, great. Well, thanks very much for joining us. We've got lots of people from different parts of the country: Wales, Scotland, maybe Ireland, Spain, Europe, and so forth. So it's a bit of an international call, but don't worry, we all speak perfect English as well as you. I've got loads of questions to ask you tonight, some of which I hope can relate to everyone on the call. The first things first, okay, the initial question would be, so how long ago did you first start taking Juice Plus, and why? And what was your reason for deciding to take Juice Plus?
Oh, that's a great question. It kind of goes back 21 years now. So I guess it would have been December of 1994. I was running bicycle adventures all over the world and worked my body really hard. You can imagine my job as a guide was to push big, heavy people up long, steep hills. And, it sort of stands to reason that my body was stressed. My Achilles tendons were on fire. And somebody told me that using the vitamins and minerals being isolated and fragmented was a toxic thing to do and could likely be the cause of my inflammation. And that same person suggested that I use whole foods and offered Juice Plus to me. And that was the day that I started it, because it just made perfect sense to me. And fortunately, within 4 months, I had enough of an improvement that I decided that it was something that I was going to take for the rest of my life.
Wow. Right. I mean,
that's where it began.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, sometimes it takes a while, but for me, it was literally a matter of a few weeks when I decided to take it full time. But like yourself, I was on a charity cycle, and I was very sort of run down, and that's why after having the effects of that, that's why I decided to take it. And sometimes it takes people longer. Sometimes it takes people less time to realize just how great Juice Plus is. So obviously, there's a franchise element to it. So when did you first find out about the franchise, and what interests you initially about becoming a distributor?
I'm gonna tell you a fun story, and I'll make it quick. But I met Doug Barlow, otherwise known as Mr. Dr. Mitra Ray, in the Lou, at a trade show. That's where this whole thing kind of emerged. He and I walked in to the Lou at the same time, and ended up, someone asked the other person, how's it going?
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the whole thing. Well, Doug, his intention, I would say, was so strong in the beginning. At the time, I think he was a sales coordinator, and he made sure that before I left that trade show, where I was actually selling my bicycle tour, so I was a vendor at this trade show, he was there because he wanted to talk to healthy people that wanted to stay healthy. And when he proposed the concepts of whole food nutrition to me, also very strongly in his mind, and at the forefront of his mind and on the tip of his tongue, was the opportunity. So he dropped the seed, if you will. And I thought about it, over the weekend that this trade show was going. And before he left, he said, and you can't imagine today, after all the training that we've had, how by virtue of the basic principles, how wrong the way he did it seemed to be, it still worked. But what he said to me was this. He said, Larry, I haven't got time to explain this to you right now, but there's a business opportunity here, and I just want you to trust me on this one. Sign right here on this application, because I want to be an international distributor. He was living in the States, I was living in Canada, and that's what he did, and that's what he said. And I looked at him and I said, Doug, I'll tell you what, I don't know anything about this product or this company, but for some reason I trust you. Let's do this thing. So that's it.
Fantastic. Can everybody just make sure they're muted, apart from Larry? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, that was great. I mean, Doug Barlow is, for people who don't know, is Dr. Mitra Ray's husband, and it's a lot. Obviously, a lot of times he gets shadowed in Mitra Ray's aura, but Doug is actually one of the driving forces behind Mitra Ray's success, and pretty much the whole of Canada now. So Doug is a great guy, and we'll. I mean, a lot of people on the call have met him already in Birmingham. So yeah, that's a great story. So what was when you were first set up? What was your main goal? What was your focus? What was what you really wanted to achieve from this business initially? What was the first goal?
Well, my first goal, of course, like everyone, was to be able to I'll say, substantiate the product to my wife, because it was costing a lot of money. I started up my son, who was a ski racer at the same time. So it wasn't just one, it was the cost of two. We didn't have the children's research and all of that. And she was looking at me because she knew, you know, what my medicine cabinet looked like, and she saw all the expense that I was doing there with vitamins and minerals, and she just looked at it as though, okay, so you're adding one more thing to this. So I really wanted to make sure that I got the benefits of the product. I wanted to get the flexibility back in my tendons. But when I did, she noticed right away. She said, Larry, you are moving a lot better. I don't hear complaints and aches and pains. Now, you said that Doug Barlow told you that there was a business involved in this. So why don't you give him a call and see what that's all about? I called Doug, and you know, he, like I say, we were just beginning. We were all learning together, you know, how to market the product. There was no auto reorder even at the time. So he said, Larry, look, why don't you just go out and talk to all your friends? He said, I know you have lots of friends. He said, don't spend a lot of money on advertising. Just talk to people. And I looked at him and I said, well, yeah, I like that idea. I had been in business for a long time and knew how much money you could waste on marketing and advertising. So the idea of being in a business that was word of mouth made sense to me. So I went out and I just talked to as many folks as I possibly could, and created a customer base that paid for our products. My wife, when she saw that, said, okay, let's add me and our daughter Christine, and we have 3 children in total. So we got the whole family going on it. I, by that time, had already made it to, I believe, what you guys call senior direct. We call it virtual franchise over here. But I had made it to senior direct, and then Doug Barlow called me and said, Larry, man, you are working. Let's do this thing. So he said, let me come up and camp at your house, because he said, I know there's some big mountains around there, and I want to come up and climb those mountains. So let's get to work here, and let's get you to sales coordinator. So my goal then was to get the sales coordinator. He came up, and I'm telling you, within 3 weeks, I was a sales coordinator, you know, after I started getting with the business. Now, so we're about 4 months, because that's how long it took me to get the product. Then it took me another month, you know, to get to my senior direct position. And then within the next month, I was a sales coordinator. And so that really sales coordinator, I was looking at that as being the highest commissionable position. And I thought then, because I didn't really understand that much about the virtual franchise, that would be where I'd make the most money. But I learned, of course, then where the money was going to come from. But that was my basic goal, James.
That took you around about 4 months to really get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, what the important thing was there, what I picked up from that was you just went out and spoke to people, and that's our best marketing tool we have. A lot of us, I mean, the answer is always going to be no if you don't ask, right? And then secondly, you were focused on getting the products paid for your family. And
Absolutely.
that's going out there and building a customer base that will give you that payment to be able to get that product basically for free. And I think that's a real good driving force for anyone when they first start off and get yourself to VF or Senior Director Distributor. Would you say...
You got to get the spouse on board.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
The wife had to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, sales coordinator, anyone on the call that's building towards that, that is the first sort of, I would say, first leadership position in many. I think it's a very, very valuable, very, very important position. And it's just a case of duplicating sales coordinators. Once you've achieved that, you know how to do it and teach others to do that. And I think that's the most duplicatable position you can have in the business. Would you agree, Larry?
Absolutely. It's very straightforward.
So obviously, you know, you're a 100 club now. We'll dwell on that in a bit more in a second. And by the way, guys, that's without using social media. I know Larry shares his wonderful lifestyle he has in the beautiful mountains and lakes, but you know, social media wasn't how he built the business. You know, it's all about relationships and face to face and that so forth. So please don't think that you need to be a social media guru to build this, and I'm sure you will back me up on that, Larry.
I certainly will. You know, the concept of social media for people in my, I'll call it generation or demographic, however you want to, I dabble in it. You know, I look at it, I don't master it. But certainly, you know, within the organization and on the team are many people that are quite familiar and very capable, you know, with the social media. So if you aren't working the social media, you will attract people that will see it. So I think that social media is an important factor in the growth of our business, but you don't have to master it. You'll always attract the people that know how to use it. And that's just done by getting out there, you know, and doing the numbers.
Yeah, I'm going to go on to the numbers in a second with you as well. So we're all about a daily method of operation, a DMO. And I know that's something that a lot of people in your team probably will be focusing on, trying to get the team to understand about setting goals the night before of what they're going to do the next day and sticking to that daily method of operation, you know, whether you're going to do social media posts, how many people you're going to talk to and so on. Do you have a daily method of operation, Larry?
You know, I do. I have, I call it a flexible daily method of operation. My method of operation is to do something inside my business every day. Yeah. And it doesn't make any difference where I am or what I'm doing. I can be out sailing or riding my bicycle, but it is just part of my DNA. My business is always there. So when I'm at home and or my office is the place that I go first thing, when I turn my computer on, the virtual office is what comes up as my homepage. And the reason I like that is because I could be sipping my first cup of coffee and I'm already looking, you know, at the alerts and the things that I have to do today. It's given me the barometer, the litmus paper, you know, the growth of my business. So that virtual office is certainly the directive, you know, of my day.
Exactly. I'll back up with what you're saying. I run a very busy secondary business. So I make sure that I have between 8 and 10 at night. That's my time to build my business. And that's where I carry out my DMO. However, what you just said then was you're always outside and active. So you're always going to be around people. And being around people, you should always be able to share what you're doing, and that's where the Juice Plus comes into it. So if you are a busy person and you are around people all the time, there's no reason why you can't share it. And if you can share it with one person every day, that could be part of your DMO. So that's great. Now, the demographic, obviously, Canada, guys, is when you think about the population of Canada and the size of it, it's actually 50%. So it's 32 or 34 million people in Canada. And when you think about it, we've got 65 million in the UK. Now, when you think about the size of Canada, when I went over there, I was traveling by flights, 10-hour drives, 2 events. Now, I come across a lady who drove, she was in her mid-70s, and she drove 7.5 hours to one of the events that I was doing, and then 7.5 hours back that night. And I said to her, you know, I'll put you up in a hotel, because I felt terrible about doing it. She goes, no, this is what you've got to do if you want to succeed. This is what you've got to do in this country. And it made such a big effect on me, because I'm sure there's people on the call that may have made that excuse whether or not to drive half an hour down the road or an hour. And you think to yourself, well, these guys drive so far to get to these events. Has that been an issue? I mean, has that been an issue for you over, you know, the last 20 years in this business? Or, you know, have you just not made that excuse? You've just done it anyway?
Well, you can't make excuses. You can make money, or you can make excuses. You know, the opportunity is laid out there. You seize the opportunity. You do what you have to do to get it done. And I've attracted people that feel the same way. And I've noticed, you know, within our community that there are those kind of people that show up. That's what it is. If people are not willing to do what's necessary, then, you know, they're just not going to get, you know, to the positions that they need, you know, to make an income, and they will, if you will, sort of just fall away because other opportunities will show up for them. Not everybody is going to do this. It isn't that everybody in Canada, you know, would drive 7 hours. It's just that the people that show up, you know, are willing to do what it takes, and the people that show up are the people that get promoted in the business and make the paychecks.
Yeah, and that success leaves clues. I mean, when myself and my upline Sue Worrell and a few of us, when we first started building this business, we set up our own events. We did everything. We funded everything ourselves. You know, we made things happen. I think the key thing for the success of our team was when we started off with home events. Now, being the demographic of which you live in, would you say that, do you run home events?
We do, very much so. Yeah, I mean, it is, if you will, the most accessible in terms of resources. You know, we all have a home. You know, there's also coffee shops. You know, I'll have a coffee, you know, or a tea, you know, with folks, or we'll have a luncheon, you know, at a local bistro, or, you know, just really any place that people gather. You know, you can do events, but lots of ladies, I'm sure that you've heard of the salad in a jar parties. I mean, they're being very creative here and literally all over the world in ways that you can bring people together and add value to their day, and in the process be able to share the story of Juice Plus, more value, you know, for families and you know, for health, which, you know, today is one of the largest crises that we have worldwide. So, you know, it's any excuse to bring people together.
And I think as well as building that community feel. The Salad in the Jar party, guys, if you haven't seen it, is a huge success. And what they're doing is they're inviting, and I think it's primarily, from what I'm seeing, a lot of women and mothers, so they can bring their children around and share conversation and so forth. But they're all sharing health and designing these beautiful salads and storing them in these lovely jars, and it's basically building a community as well as part of actually a great way of sharing Juice Plus as well as health and nutrition. Do you use, obviously Transform 30, when I traveled over there, was a huge concept over there in Canada as well as America. And a lot of the guys are embracing that here on the call, but also using something similar in relation to packaging, detoxification and so forth, teach people about cleansing. How much has Transform 30 changed your business since being launched?
Oh, James, I would have to say that it relaunched my business. That and the Tower Garden, which good news, I think, is coming your way pretty soon.
Another year, yeah.
I know in Birmingham, they may have, had some, some discussion about that. But if I may, can I talk to you about sort of the start and the restart of my business?
Yeah, sure.
Would that be all right if I just, I think we'll be right on track if we do that.
Yeah.
I started with Juice Plus, had tremendous results, created a team of people that went on to grow into not just a national marketing director position, but 3 national marketing positions underneath me, and also a milestone position, the 39 Club. And when I did that, I looked at myself. I started when I was 47. I think I was 53 years old at that point. And then I said, wow, when I started, I had a dream. And my dream was to buy a big sailboat and take off with the family and go sailing. And it wasn't that I was planning on leaving the business behind, but I realized that as I was out there, I was going to be staying in touch with the business, but I wasn't going to be building the business and expanding the business, if you will. So when I went away, I did that for 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, I think you can say you could live in paradise for 10 years and become curious as to, what else there is to do in life. So I was beginning to get that feeling like, I feel like I want to check back in, but I didn't know where to start. I had been gone away for a long time. I had my team. I was in touch with those guys, but I didn't know how to reinvigorate the business for myself. But I wanted to. The company, this company has always, just at the right time, provided me with a new, fresh message and/or something to be really enthusiastic about. They announced the Tower Garden, and as soon as I heard that, I went, "This is it. This is the open door for me to come back in. I love it. I know I can create a huge, enthusiastic conversation about this and enroll some other people." So I came back. I came back home. I told my wife, we're tying the boat up and we're going back to work. And she looked at me kind of puzzled as to why I would want to do that. But what she didn't know is I wanted a bigger boat.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Tower Garden showed up, and I came home and got active with the test marketing of it, went out, shared it with as many people as possibly could. We've still been using Juice Plus. I still realized that Juice Plus was king. It was going to be the money, the wealth generator. So I wasn't forgetting about Juice Plus, but I had a new message to show people. And when I got busy, then my team started showing up again. And you may have heard of a couple of men called named Mark Schwann and Dave Sanderson. Have you guys heard tale of those two fellows? Well, Mark showed up and he realized I was busy again, but his enthusiasm was in athletics. And Mitra Ray had also at the same time produced the Transform 30. So Mark showed up with this enthusiasm and fire in his belly about the Transform 30. And he, if you will, kind of educated me a bit about what that meant in the marketplace. And this is what Transform 30 did. All of a sudden, we did not have to explain and educate people about the product. There were a lot of products that have come into the marketplace over the past, I think it was like 22 years, that Juice Plus had been in the market. A lot of wannabes had come in, and there was, I wouldn't call it competition, but there was a lot of conflicting, conversation. So Transform 30 gave people the opportunity to learn how to integrate, if you will, good nutrition, facilitate detoxification, and I guess I guess I'll just call get the momentum going in their metabolic systems. And the benefits that they got from it were so extraordinary that we began to realize that people care more about what they look and feel like than they do, about, I don't know, I guess, what is it? The concepts of antioxidants and all of that other stuff. I mean, there are just so many words that are out there, it's kind of confusing. But everybody understands when they look and feel good. So the idea of being able to promote a program that made people look good, feel good, and for athletes go way faster, was I would call it just very intoxicating for folks. Yeah. That's when the business really took off.
Fantastic. I mean, obviously, the guys on the call will be very excited about the Tower Garden coming over. I've seen it in its full glory. I've seen it grown in people's houses. I've seen the effects it's had on families' lives. And from a business point of view, you want to start thinking about, your target market, your schools, your communities, the garden stores, anything and everything. This Tower Garden is going to be the best referral tool you're ever going to have. Transform 30, to the ones who don't know, is a detoxification and cleansing program or rejuvenation of tissue plan that was invented by Dr. Mitra Ray, cell biologist at Stanford University. She's also a Juice Plus National Marketing Director. And she decided to launch that as a support element to our Juice Plus business as a part. And basically, it's a plan to go alongside the Juice Plus business, which I will be doing much more talks in the next 4 coming weeks for anybody that wants to use in this business. So as you can see, Larry, business relaunched. And we all got an opportunity to relaunch our businesses, and especially using different concepts, packages, and when new products come out as well. So when you set up a new distributor, this is really important to ones on the call. Obviously, you've got huge success and you've learned by many mistakes over time. But when you set up a new distributor, is there a step-by-step process that you use? And what would be the key to the success of the most successful ones in your business?
Well, I do, of course, and everybody should have a list in front of them as to all of the elements to plug people into the system. That is the most important thing. Show them, the resources, the tools, and literally integrate them, into a local team. Get them so that they're having conversations with their sideline, teaming up. I mean, that is so important. The idea of people feeling as though they're part of a team gives them, I don't know, I'll call it the courage, to open up their mouth, in a situation where they're, when they're all alone and they are the messenger, right? But it also gives them a place to come back to get recharged because, literally, I've experienced it for 20 years. The world tries to beat you up,
Yeah.
and having that team to come back to, is a way to recharge your batteries, a way to feel strong again. So, there's no question about that. That's a very important element.
So obviously, when you start them up, just going through again, you make sure you show them all the resources, the online office, the websites, the tools that you need to go out there and do it. And then also being the product of the product is obviously key. Embracing a healthy lifestyle, and also linking them in with local teams in their area, or making sure they're introduced to the sidelines or the uplines. And that's really important to make them feel part of a team and a community. And they also shows that they've got upline support there always. And that's really important. Obviously, you've been in the business for 21 years, Larry. And I've only been in the business close to 6 years, maybe. I've experienced many highs and lows. For every 10 lows, there's a high, and it's always worth it. I always say, there's so many lows to this business, but there's so many highs as well. Can you sort of give me a few highs and lows that you've experienced over the last 20 years?
Yeah, well, I guess I have already at least alluded to a few. I went away, as I had mentioned, and as I went away, I just want to bring up one real important concept. Nothing ever stays the same. You can build something up to be, huge, but it is either going to grow or it's going to shrink, right? So we always have to pay attention. Fortunately, I have a brilliant upline, and I was smart enough to take the coaching and realize that that phenomena, was occurring where, I had gone away as a 39 club, but, the 39 wasn't holding. It was going to 24, and it was time to, to get back involved. And that was why I was so enthusiastic, when they gave me, when they opened the door with, with a brand new product. And that's what you guys got coming at you right now is, brand new products. And there's lots of new products that are coming. You may have already heard about that, but people come and they go. That's an important thing. A few of them are going to stick with you, and a few of them are going to duplicate enough whereby they are compelled, to stay. I mean, it's compelling, when you're part of a movement like this. But lots of folks are going to come and they're going to go away. Be able to and or realize that they brought other people, into the business with them. And I call that they've given me their gift. Even if they're going away, still, they've brought other people in the business, and I have to then take the responsibility to go down there and make sure that those people are served, with what they need so that they could succeed in the business as well. So I was able to kind of mine down into the downlines, of people who had come and then something else. And really, if you will, that's where most of my team has shown up. It wasn't the people that I initially recruited into the business, but it was people that they had recruited into the business. And then I went down and supported those people. They, of course, have brought people into the business. And, we're just out there supporting teams. That's what we are. So, yeah, I mean, and I've gone through waves of that, where I made it to 39 club. Then, we didn't have a 24 club, but here's a real important thing that happened for me. I don't know. I kind of got these out because I thought we'd talk about it. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's where I was. That was 39. But in the past 4 years since I came back, it took me a little while, but all of a sudden I got to 50.
Yeah.
Can you see that? that was like, when was that? That was in 2000.
That was in Memphis, wasn't it?
Yeah. 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it went to 75. That was in 2015. And that was at what conference? That was the next conference, Nashville. So from 50 to 75 at one conference, and then it went to 100 at the next conference. Fantastic. So things are happening fast. Network marketing loves speed, James. Yeah. That's the important thing. Once you got this thing going and it's duplicating and you have people working, I like to say to folks, throw gas on the fire. Put the pedal to the metal. I could have sat back and relaxed thinking, oh, good, the paycheck's going up. That's super. That's all. But a new goal was set, right? And I stayed with the people that also had goals. And I worked with them and I helped them with their goals, helping people to get to 24 club and 39 club. That's how 50 happened. That's how 75 happened. And that's how 100 happened.
Wow. I mean, that's the guys who don't know so much about the clubs on the call. That's basically just showing that over 18 years, you had steady growth, many highs, many lows. And then in the past 4 years, you've had vertical growth. So that just goes to show.
Explosive growth.
Yeah, and I mean, that's phenomenal. Right, okay, that's great. So now we will make mistakes. What would be, say, 2 or 3 mistakes that you have made or lessons learned key lessons that you have learned, especially with working with people?
Oh, I like that question. My mistakes, if you will, people think that, okay, there's personal growth in this business. Well, I am going into my 22nd year. I today am experiencing personal growth because each and every time we reach another level and or another magnitude in the business, there is more demand or expansion necessary in our minds to keep the team going in a positive direction. So my mistakes have been that I would get distracted. I would start, in fact, trying to reinvent a wheel or think that I could do it better, than my upline and or the systems, that have already been created, right?
Yeah.
And each and every time, I found that, if you will, I was just sort of flying away from the flock, and really the lift was in the flock, right? I mean, working with the team, that's how I could express myself most strongly. So the idea of not getting, and I'll call it egotistical. My ego, would start to take off. And when I became strong in that way, then other people would resist me. Okay? They would then duplicate what I was doing and think that they could do it better. And, everybody was off going in different directions. So really, when Transform 30 came around and everyone was promoting the same program to bring people, into, if you will, the flock, just keep going down that direction, keep promoting it, because the conversations are very, very strong there. The conversations go far and wide, and everyone is talking about the same thing. There's a contagion to it. So literally staying in the program, going with it, and supporting people, make people right and not wrong. That was a big one for me. Micromanaging other people's businesses, not the right thing to do.
Yeah, I've made that mistake many times. Yeah.
Oh, indeed. I built my business now with personal growth based on agreements, not disagreements. I can't force people to do stuff. I can encourage people and lead people to do what we do and show them, how successful they can be, by following that. That's what my job is.
Yeah. We can only inspire, we can't motivate, right?
We can't push. You cannot push people. Whenever you persist, you can, this is sort of a universal thing. Whatever persists will also create its own resistance.
Fantastic. So just two more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So what bit of advice would you give to any people that are new to the business on this call right now?
Oh, I would say plug in, find out, what that motivating conversation is, get with a team. And if there isn't a team around, with your upline, working with them, create your own team. The very best position that you can be in is be the first one to create the team. That is the best position that you can be in. If there is an active team, plug into it. Find out and learn as much as you can, from people that are succeeding, in the business. That's, and follow, if you will, and learn, what this is all about. Don't talk, listen.
Yeah.
So important.
Following your upline, and because they've made the mistakes already, learning from them, but also reaching out to people in the business, going to events, learning from them. But I remember when I started, and myself and Sue I was on the call, I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. All I knew was that I loved the product, I fell in love with the company, and I had that burning desire that I really needed to do this in order to get out of 60, 70-hour weeks and be able to own my own life. And I think anyone on the call now, if you're sitting there now thinking, well, I've got a few customers, you've got to build your team. If you really want to be successful, you've just got to go out there and build it. And once people suddenly realize that and take action themselves and take charge of it, set their own events up, you may have no one turn up 3, 4, 5 times. It doesn't matter. Just keep doing it, because eventually it will happen. So if you've got a team member now, go out and get it.
James, for 2 years, 2 years, I was doing luncheons, and I had very few people show up. I'd get, sometimes one person, sometimes nobody would show up. But my very first national marketing director was the only person that showed up to a luncheon that I had. Wow. And once that lady, got the message, and I was working now with, 2, we were bringing in then 5 and 6 people, that's how it, began to happen. But I had to go through the numbers. I had to get a lot of no's first, and if you will, it's going to test your mettle. That's for sure. And that's when the sideline buddy and or the other teams, that's where that's going to help you. And that's what we meant when we said, plug in, get charged up again and go out and do it. Just talk to people, get outside. When I start in the morning in my office looking at the virtual franchise, that's showing me what has to be done immediately, for administration. But my main activity is to go outside and talk to people.
Yeah,
create little events at first, and then let them grow organically. Our products are organic, and they work organically in our bodies, and our business, works on an organic process as well.
I like that. That's really, really cool. Final question. That's a fantastic answer. Final question. So you're Club 100. Just to refer to people that don't know what Club 100 is. Club 100 means that you have got 100 qualifying businesses in your team. However, I'm sure, Larry, you have a lot more coming through, and a very big team as well. Basically, 100 leaders in a team who are VF or senior director and above, with a certain amount of volume coming in. If you're unaware what a club is or don't show, make sure you speak to your uplines about that. So 100 clubs in your business, which basically means life is very sweet now, Larry. Very sweet indeed. Okay, it's well over a 6-figure salary, guys, and that's not bad for fruits and vegetables in the capsule business. So what does the future hold for you? Any new goals?
Oh, well, I had mentioned the bigger boat. We're shopping for a bigger boat right now. However, my idea of like doing offshore and long distance sailing, I'm going to be sticking around, and I'm going to have my boat, and I'm going to offer it to our community. You know what I mean? I want to do events on the boat. I want to show people, what this business actually has to offer, because in this day and age, where, what is it? We had alluded to this earlier, but what are the biggest issues? It's health and financial security, right? So my mission today and my intention is to make sure that we help as many people as possible with those huge issues. And consequently, I think we're going to have a better world, because there's a lot of confusion in the world right now, because of the issues and the nervousness, if you will. My goal is to create 500 qualified businesses. That would mean that, if you will, if I'm making more money, so be it. But at least that money is an indicator of how much good, I'm doing in the world, and how effective I am, with my, I'll call it my deep purpose.
Wow. So giving back is your main priority. And I think money, it is a fantastic thing, especially if you're able to give most of it or make an impact on other people's lives. And you're damn right. What you're saying there is, this business, your success is the fact that you're going out there and actually making other people live a happier life and more healthier life. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to say. Your success is built on a foundation of happy people. So guys, go out there and help as many people as you can with their lives. Larry, you've been an absolute gent as always, and I can't wait to see you and your lovely wife in the next conference in October in St. Louis, and hopefully you'll come to a European conference as well. I'm sure, guys, you've got a lot from that. I'm just going to pass you over to James Sanderson, because I know he has some updates on maybe some events coming up. Larry, thanks so much for that, my friend. It's been fantastic.
It's a pleasure, and I wish you guys all the greatest of luck. You really started the fire for us, when we heard of your successes over there in Britain, and we're very beholden to you guys, and we're here available for you at any time. Come to our conferences. We'll come to yours, and let's just take this thing to the world. You bet. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you very much, my man.
Fantastic,
Cheers.
Larry. Thank you very much indeed. Well, I'll just do a little snippet at the end now, just about the Vision Day coming up on Saturday, this coming Saturday, April the 9th in Swindon at the Village Hotel in Swindon. The lineup is unbelievable. We've got Alex Hamer-Webb, as we know. We've got his daughter Romy speaking as well. Alex is going to be talking about how I would coach you to PMD. Now that is just going to be an incredible slot. Alex is one of the most successful distributors in the world, and his ability to get people to PMD is bar none. So that will be fascinating. We also obviously have Sam Piper, who's speaking in the afternoon as well, and he's a Dale Carnegie trainer, and he's going to be talking about maximizing your personal impact. We have Sue Worrell on, we have Dan Furlong, we have Bridget James. I mean, it's going to be the most amazing agenda, and not to be missed. And of course, the creme de la creme, in a sense, is Simon Bowler, who's going to be speaking to us as well in the morning about the future and how he sees things developing, and most importantly, the essence of what he sees people need to grasp in order to be successful. So 11 o'clock till 5 next Saturday, the night. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. That will be amazing. And then the following Tuesday, we have an incredible event in London called The Amazing Power of Plants. And that's going to be at Whole Foods in Kensington High Street. So both of those are on Eventbrite. So we look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday and those in London on Tuesday as well.
There's also an event in Cardiff on the 12th with Dr. Susie Mitchell and Sue Worrell.
Tell us a little bit about that, James. So,
well, it's a product and business event in Cardiff. We'll have details. It's on Tuesday the 12th. That is the 12th, isn't it? Yeah, 9th.
That's
yeah.
right.
And Sue will be doing the product. I think Dr. Susie Mitchell will be doing a talk on various subjects and also the business as well. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay. Well, that's it. James, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just say thanks again, Larry. You're awesome, and thanks everyone on the call. And let's go and relaunch and smash it.
Fantastic. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.